DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Talking about planning versus execution and your needed ability. This is a required ability for you to vacillate between caution and boldness. What I mean is, and I sent this out in my daily motivation text probably a couple months ago. I mentioned this concept, and some people who didn't want to challenge themselves to think wrote me back and said, well, what does that mean? I didn't answer them. But if I send out a text and you don't know what it means, that means you need to think about it. But in this video, I want to talk about this concept, and I'll tell you how to get my daily motivation in a minute. It's when you are laying your plans, you're planning out anything that you want to do, you want to be cautious in your planning process. Cautious meaning thinking about all the permutations of every action that you take, all the possible, you want to plan for if anything is not going to go the way that you expected, any contingency plans, you want to have all of those in place during the planning process. Okay, what if this doesn't go the way that I expected? What if people don't respond the way that I think they're going to respond? What if this product doesn't take off, or this idea doesn't take off or pop off the way that I think it will, or the way that I want it to? You want to plan all those things out in your pre-action process. However, once it's time for action and it's time for you to actually do something, then you have to execute swiftly and boldly. Meaning, you're not thinking anymore. You're not hesitating. You're not considering, well, what if this doesn't work? What if this goes wrong? What if this thing doesn't happen the way that I wanted it to happen? You got to execute swiftly and boldly in such a way that you leave no gaps for hesitation. You leave no gaps for second guessing yourself. You leave no gaps for anybody else second guessing you and wondering if you even know what you're doing, or if you're the person that should even be in charge of doing the thing that you're doing. So these are the different energies. This is my point. The different energies you have to be able to basically bounce in between. Caution when you're planning, swiftness and boldness when you're executing. The challenge for a lot of people is it's hard for them to go back and forth between these two, because some people have the ability to be cautious, like, all right, well, what if this doesn't work? What about this? And they're good at considering, all the possibilities of a situation. All right, how is this going to go? How is that going to go? But when it's time to turn that analytical mind off, and let's just be bold and let's just execute and just do stuff and move objects out of our way, move any possible roadblocks out of our way, obstacles out of our way, just by executing and being bold, they can't turn it off. They can't go back and forth between the two. And then on the other side of the equation, you got people who are really good at being bold and executing and going and just doing stuff without overthinking it. But these people, because they're so brash and because they are so action biased, that they don't have the ability to really think about, all right, well, what if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't go the way that I want it to go? What if my bold action backfires and now I'm faced with a situation that I wasn't planning? They don't have the ability, they don't have the foresight to really consider all the permutations of their actions. So what you need to develop is you need to become the dynamic individual who can do both. Think of someone who's in any type of hand-to-hand combat match, like UFC, any kind of MMA, boxing, jiu-jitsu, any one of those sports. Is these people have the ability to both be bold and they have the ability to be defensive. They can fight defensively and they can fight aggressively. Fighting aggressively is what? You see an opening from your opponent and you go and you hit them with the 1-2, you knock them out, right? Hit them with the knockout blows. But also, you have the ability to fight defensively. So when you're fighting an opponent who is aggressive, you have the ability to kind of block their punches and counterpunch against them and fight defensively and make sure that all their shots are missing. Because if you only had the ability to fight aggressively, challenge is one day you're going to come up against somebody who's just as aggressive as you, maybe more aggressive, and their punches are landing more accurately than yours are, you get knocked out. Not because you didn't know how to be aggressive, but somebody else was being aggressive too. And listen, they just might beat you to the punch. And if you had the ability to be defensive, but you don't know how to be aggressive, well, you're going to go up against an opponent, they're defensive too, and now nobody's throwing any punches. Nobody wins because nobody knows how to take the initiative and take the fight to the other person. You need the ability to do both. The ability to go aggressive and the ability to hang back and know how to play your space and play for time. And if you lose the ability to do either one of these, not being cautious means you're not going to plan properly. You're going to set yourself up for failure by being too bold. And not being aggressive means you're not going to know when to take the initiative and just go take the opportunities being handed to you. And you're going to leave money on the table. You're going to leave money and opportunity on the table in life because you didn't know how to be aggressive when it was time to do so. So you want to sharpen your ability, your instincts, your ability to do both of these. And instincts means being able to do these without having to think about it, without having to say to yourself, oh, you know what? This is the time to be aggressive. Oh, this is the time to hang back and play for time. This is the time where I need to plan. This is the time where I need to think. You need to be able to do these things instinctively without having to stop, think, all right, what should I do now? Then do it. Because in real time, in real life, you're not going to have the time to think about it. In real time, in real life, you're going to have to make these decisions, again, instinctively. Not thinking, but just reacting to the moment. But you're doing it off of instinct because you trained your brain to do this. And here's the good news about all this that I'm telling you, is that instincts are already baked into you. You don't have to teach yourself to be instinctive. You as a human, if you're human, you already have instincts. The challenge for all of us is that you have to unlearn the overthinking that you've been taught. What you've been taught is how to overthink, how to think too much about everything. That's the part that you have to undo. You undo that, the instincts are already there. They're waiting. They just need you to get all that conscious overthinking. What do I do now? What do I do now? What if this doesn't work? What about that? Or should I do this? Should I do that? You got to get that out of the way. Get that out of the way, and the instincts are already ready to do their job. You just got to get you basically got to get all the buildup that's blocking the instincts from doing their job removed. Once they're removed, your instincts will do exactly what they were meant to do, how you were born as a baby. Any of you as a kid or a younger brother or sister or raised a child, you know the kids have instincts. They're not overthinking. It's as soon as they learn language and they learn how to understand what other people are saying to them, we teach each other. We've been taught and we teach others how to overthink with all the stuff that we crowd our brains with. You need to remove all of that. The more of it you're able to remove, the better your instincts will do what they're supposed to do, and they'll fire the way that they're supposed to be firing. All that said, text me to get my daily motivation text. My number is 305-384-6894. I send it to you every single day free of charge. And go to workonyourgameuniversity.com so you can work with me directly in my Bulletproof Mastermind and my third day mastermind. Third day is the one-on-one coaching. The Bulletproof Mastermind is a group coaching program where I work with you on your programs, figuring out where exactly your mindset is, how to get your mind in the right space so that when we input the strategies and we put the strategies in place, you will execute on those strategies again instinctively without having to overthink and slow yourself down. We'll hold everything, including yourself and your process, accountable. Then we make sure that you're executing, getting things done the way they're supposed to get done, just like I just explained. All of that is at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all